So looking at our PERS data in the report, it kind of seems like 100% of our faculty and staff is not supporting the Ci3T plan we shared at our last faculty and staff meeting.
Yeah, I was talking to some of the teachers last week, and they really like the plan and they plan on implementing it, but they're worried that other teachers aren't going to.
Yeah, I mean, when you next meet with faculty and staff, you should probably share and explain these PERS data. I mean, they're a little confusing at first, but I mean, when I looked at it for a minute or two, there's actually some important information in there. I mean, you're right, it's not 100%, but their scores are high, they're above 80%.
You should be proud of scores that are above 80%. That's really great. That means that the work that you've done in sharing, the work that you went through in developing this model was understood by the majority of the faculty and they're supportive of that. Over time, they'll also see that integration that you have in your plan of all the things academically, behaviorally, and socially that we're doing. So that will continue, they'll continue to be supportive of that effort.
I saw in the comments where there's a handful of teachers that said they're worried about the other teachers not implementing the plan. But if you look at number 7, I am willing to use the primary plan in this school setting. Our mean was 5.5 out of 6. That's really high. So we just need to share these data and explain how if everyone implements the plan, we're going to be fine.
What about the people who just aren't on board with it? Their negativity could ruin it for the rest of us who are trying to implement with integrity.
Yeah, I'm worried that one teacher could sabotage our efforts, and kids can tell when a teacher doesn't like them, and that kind of spreads to the students. So I'm just worried that that could spread throughout the school really fast. So I think we need to make sure that, or find a way to have like 100% staff buy-in.
By assessing social validity of primary prevention efforts, you have a real strong opportunity to glean information to create like this confidential sometimes, or at least transparent method by which every single adult in the school has the opportunity to say what's happening in terms of, you know, their buy-in with the goals, their acceptability of the procedures, and their impressions about how well it's working based on the data that they're examining in their classes. And by assessing social validity regularly, like in fall and in spring over the course of implementation, just as a regular school practice, you'll be able to use that information to empower every adult in the building to have a voice. And some people also assess social validity from the parent perspective as well as the student. But in focusing right now on this faculty and staff input, this information can be used to identify the real celebrations, the real strengths, like what's taking place that's going really well. It also creates an opportunity for people to share their views even when they may not feel comfortable doing so in a larger group. Sometimes it happens in a faculty that there's a few people that are particularly strong in their views and perhaps somewhat negative, and sometimes faculty members are afraid to share what they view as successes for fear of losing support from the people that are not necessarily appreciative of the coordinated primary prevention efforts. Another big benefit of using the social validity data, using the PERS, the Primary Intervention Rating Scale, is it actually allows you to detect any misunderstandings or misinformation. So, for example, if there are multiple statements about, reinforcement is bribery, or some misunderstandings about the hows and the whys of the social and emotional component, then that's an opportunity to use those data to inform professional learning efforts for that current year as well as years in the future. It also is a way to kind of think long range about how to revise your Ci3T blueprint at the end of every year. Because remember, this is going to be like a constitution for your school, and you're going to want to revise it based on input in terms of student performance outcomes, input from your stakeholders. And many teams will actually have a regular routine by which, after they've read the social validity data, they will share back with faculty and staff to say, here's the pieces that you view to be real strengths in our plans, and here's the pieces that suggest we need to do more professional learning, and here's some pieces that you sound like you might want change, but here's the reason why those actually need to be retained. And some principals will use that really immediately, so they'll examine their fall social validity data and use it as refresher trainings when people come back from winter break.